have now reached the intersection where ideas, beliefs, and perspectives collide. So be free to be you. It's the XrossroadZ Podcast with your hosts, author, speaker, and transformational strategist, Barzini, and entrepreneur, empowerment coach, and tech diva, Dre Renee. If you're ready to talk love, business, politics, and everything in between, you're in for a ride. Welcome to the XrossroadZ Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire and tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the XrossroadZ, where there's only one rule: be free to be you. So, y'all. This
is Barzini. He's having a great day. Let me just tell you. Since yesterday, as a matter of fact, he's probably been smiling just like that.
You know, I feel conflicted. I felt like vindicated over this episode yesterday. And then it's kind of like today I have kind of mixed emotions, and we'll get into that. I mean, granted, I have zero. First of all, we usually have some banter before we get into what the topic is.
You usually talk about me at the top of every episode.
I mean, I got footage of that. Listen, y'all, we was having wardrobe malfunction. So Dre is sporting her new lashes today. You know what I'm saying? Give him the blink. There you go. And
the last time these made an appearance was on Dre Day, so that let's let you know I don't do this all the time.
Yeah, let's just say it took a little bit to get started, because one of them decided, I don't know if I want to do the show.
Yeah.
She got it together.
It was this one, but we're here. We all made it.
We here. Actually, before we get started, it's very important that I say this. Well, two things. One, as always, this episode is brought to you by the House of 334.
Hey!
For all of your copyright and branding needs, holler at the house. Also, Carbon 12 Apparel. Shout out to Carbon 12 Apparel. I'm going to post the spelling because I always spell it wrong when I don't have the vowels in there. So y'all check that. And they actually have new designs out this week. You got to check out there.
I saw a post.
The Black Madonna line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So shout out to Carbon 12 Clothing. And then shout out to my daddy. Today is his birthday. Yeah, so the funny part is he didn't even know. I called him for his birthday. He had forgotten his birthday.
It's like that.
I mean, I guess when you have so many of them, you kind of lose track.
I was trying to reel him back. Look,
yeah.
Now you gonna
I gave him the business today. We was talking about everything, and then we started talking about this fight I got into when I was 6th grade, and all kind of stuff. Of course, it was a fight I didn't win.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
Well, happy birthday, sir. Thank you so much for all that you have done to bring bars into our lives.
Are you sure you want to thank him for that? There's some people that's not really thanking him for that.
Well, we're glad you're here, and all the stories that we get, all of this is,
Yeah, he told me we were talking about confidence and self-esteem. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Well, we know you don't lack any of it."
I was going to say you don't have any problems in those areas.
I don't have.
Cheers.
But I told him it's his fault. He was like, "How's that my fault?" I'm like, first of all, we acted like it's a bad thing. Number one.
No, it's not a bad thing.
But literally, there was a period in my life where every morning my dad would come in my room and wake me up and stand over me and speak into my life, because I was just having a rough time. And so he was like, you are wonderful, you are smart, you are powerful,
Yes, and affirmation.
And then he'd kiss me, and then, he got, so I was like, now you gonna fault me for believing you?
He's like, you took it to the next level.
Listen, there are worse things in the world than to be confident in yourself.
That's true. That is so true.
If anybody got a problem with it, blame my daddy.
But not on his birthday. Call him tomorrow.
Yeah. He gonna be like, whatever, So yeah, happy birthday, daddy.
Happy Happy birthday.
So this week's episode, y'all, we weren't even going to record. We're actually
Not
recording.
today.
We're actually recording 2 days ahead of some normal schedule just because we had to talk about
how
this.
excited Arzini was.
Listen, when I tell you,
I got a text at it might have been 4 something in the morning, child. I don't go ahead. I'm gonna let you set this up, but let me find out. Because I looked at my phone like
I found out random because it was all over the place, but I found out when it happened. And then after that, I swear to God, I must talk about this way too much because everybody started sending it to me. And I was like,
4:40 a.m. I got this text. I was like, is he serious? Like, my eyes aren't even focusing yet. So I went back to sleep. And I was like, oh, shoot. No, I know why he was so excited. Once I was able to read it. Yeah.
So this Derek Jackson has been busted out for cheating.
And who is Derek Jackson? Allegedly. Yes.
Allegedly cheating. And Derek Jackson is a voice in the social media community around relationships. I don't want to say women's empowerment because I don't call it. I've never had any love for the dude because he's also known for shitting on men. And you're going to have to travel very far to find a dude that actually likes this guy. And so he has fallen from grace in the last couple of days because there's a podcaster. What's her name? Tasha K. Who she, the woman that he was having the affair with,
allegedly,
contacted, contacted
XrossroadZ,
right. Nah, we just reporting our thoughts,
right?
But Tasha K had broke the whole story with the receipts and some video of him saying some things. So I'm not gonna do her whole podcast on this show. Y'all can go check that out, as millions of others have already. Because it's a big deal to a lot of people. And so now a lot of people are, calling him a fraud and a hypocrite, things that men have been saying. And I'm on record have had some choice words for him just because of his get down. And we'll talk about that as well. But the name of this episode is titled, Is This Your King? And granted, listen, I wish ill on nobody, but I also have zero sympathy. Because when I saw the first post, I commented, I was like, please, Lord, let this be true. And now it was as wrong as it was to say that because I was not thinking about his wife when I said it, So there's a level of empathy for her and what she might be experiencing or going through, or conversely, she may not give a fuck. She might be like, see, nigga, because this is allegedly not the first time he's cheated, So it's my feelings about it, like the cheating isn't the thing that triggers me. We get cheating stories all the time and we talk about cheating and everything else. So it's like nothing new. Not to downplay cheating, like cheating is horrible, but it's nothing new in today's day and age to talk about. But it's like we did when we did the episode Thin Gray Line with John Gray, and his cheating situation, no, he admitted to it, so that's not even alleged. His cheating situation. It's not the cheating that grasps me. It's how these men have positioned themselves as an authority on relationships and what men are supposed to be and how we're supposed to conduct ourselves and all these things, and how they pedestal women and you're so great and so awesome, and you are, but then you turn around and commit these atrocities against the very ones you claim to exalt. Right. You know what I mean? And like I said about, in the other episode, no man is perfect, right? And so it's not even about you making a mistake. It's, again, the positioning as if you are inerrant, and is like dude is viewed as the perfect guy. Right. And that's how a lot of women see him, because it's the majority of women that follow him. Right. And that's the brand. Like it's the perfect guy, So good looking dude, you know what I'm saying? You got the dark skinned swole dude, so he's in style, you know what I'm saying? And he's intelligent, you know what I'm saying? Intelligent, articulate. So when he's articulating his point, and the thing that gets me is it's not so much that the facts about what he says aren't necessarily untrue. It's the context in which he uses them to try to make it seem like this is the majority of men. I am the exception, and women, you are inerrant and have nothing to, you know what I mean? It's like men are dogs, ladies, it's never your fault, and get a guy that's like me, or get me in this case, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, I just feel like you don't have to do that. You don't have to shit on men to empower women, right? And he never really says things that actually help. He finds ways and he just laundry lists all the shit that this sect of men do. And then the women that it's happened to, which is a great number of women, they're like, yeah. And they're not realizing he's not giving you anything. He's not giving you steps. He's not giving you know what I'm saying?
But is that his job? If I don't know. So let me start. I know who he is, but I don't know enough about him to know like what is all of this for. So I saw he has a new book. So I'm assuming, is it because he's an author and he wants you to buy his books? But if he wants you to buy his books, he would give you steps, or is it just this is my life type situation?
Well, of course I haven't bought his books, but but it's
I mean, if he's centering, has he positioned himself to be an expert, like in relationships?
Yeah, well, that's how his following has, like, you can blame the following or you can blame himself for, when you got millions of people following you, and he does, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what his current Facebook following is, but the last I checked, it was over 2 million. And then it's it's over 1 million on Instagram. Like, no, he's got a huge following. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
it's not.
So this is everywhere.
Yeah, this ain't. I got a couple of hundred. K. Like, no, like, dude has been at this for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
2 million.
Right. So it's so many women have connected to what he says because of. I've always called him an emotional predator, right? Because you laundry list things that women have been through. You give no real substance for them to. You know what I'm saying? You just tapping into how they feel. You don't really give them anything to use. They think they've gotten something to use because you've tapped into this emotion. And they're like, yeah, fuck men. Men are bastards. Listen to Derek Jackson, because he's that one guy out of, how I always say, there are women who, like, 9 guys will tell you the same thing. And then the one dude that says something different, that's the one you listen to. He's the one dude,
I'm just scrolling through his video. So topics, 7 signs you're always on his mind, 5 signs you are not the problem. The part he left out about his ex, why he gave his new woman everything you deserved, 3 signs that he will never change, signs you should not take him seriously, and the last one I could see, how to know if he is fit to lead. So it seems that he is, giving some steps, signs, things to look for in these particular situations.
Right, but those aren't things that you do for you. Those are, hey, if he's not doing these things, he's wrong. You're fine. Right.
Well, things to look for in these particular situations, not necessarily steps. Signs, I think, is what he's calling.
And so from the men's purview, it's kind of like you got all these women following you, and that's an opportunity, right? And so rather than, because me, I'm a focus on yourself type. Like, hey, get you right. I'm like, hey, women, become the best woman you are. Men, become the best man, instead of, as a man, I'm trying to focus on everything you do. You know what I mean? Now, if you ask me a question, I'll answer it. But my movement is not to sit there and, oh, women, y'all need to be doing this for us. You know what I'm saying? I'm equal opportunity. Like, I might say some shit, but I get on dudes just as much. You know what I'm saying? And have done that on this show. And so, but for him, it's this, long history of me and you ain't shit, ladies. If he's doing this, he ain't shit. But never anything to where, and very, I won't say never because that's absolute, but very seldom is there anything like, hey, ladies, this is a problem here. You know what I'm saying? It's always
and so with him. Right. And we can see why, right? If the goal is to or your target audience is women, then clearly holding them accountable is not gonna endear them to you or make them,
and it's not gonna help the brand.
Kind of so I get why you know, he's doing kind of what he's doing. However, at this point, you know, the carpet or the rug has been pulled out from under Mr. Jackson at this point in time, and
after it was bled on because they cut his ass.
And so, yeah, here we are with another situation where someone who is giving advice or is whether you agree or not, is a leading authority, at least on social media, around relationships or male and female interactions. And now we're finding out, allegedly, that his own personal and interpersonal interactions are not reflective of some of the things that he's been saying. And one of my first things is, and I think I said it when we did Thin Gray Line, is, you know, that separation of message and messenger. Now, I haven't listened to all his messages, so he might not be giving good ones. But if there's any truth or value to anything that he says, what he then does doesn't necessarily mean that there's no value to what he said. Like I did hear one thing because I was watching the podcast to get ready for this. And that was a clip of him talking about, you know, when you're separated, you're still married, which is really a fact. Now, if you decide to do something else still within your marriage, but separated, that's on you. But married is married and divorce is divorce, right? Now, that was the nail in the coffin, because you out here saying shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And it sounds good. And you're right. It is a fact. If you are not divorced, you are still married, right? Now, there is a such thing as a legal separation. And that's the thing. So the narrative of if you're not divorced, you're still married is a moral one, not a legal one. It's still a fact. Undisputed fact. You are you're still legally married, but you can simultaneously be legally married and legally separated. You see what I'm saying? So those are the things that we don't, you know, you are not doing anything unlawful, because if we want to get biblical with it, because, and that's where like the people still want to go, oh, you're still married, so it's still cheating. But the Bible always talks about obey the laws of the land, and you are not disobeying the law of the land if you are legally separated. And you're not even disobeying the law of the land if you cheat and you still married, legally married, and not separated, to be honest. You know, it's a moral issue. But for him to put out that message, because he was basically giving advice to a woman saying, no, you shouldn't engage in this relationship that you're presented with because you're still married, even though you're separated. And then he turns around, claims to be separated. We don't know if he's really, like, again, we don't know. There's a lot of facts that we don't know. So all of this is speculation that people are doing, right? Right.
So it's like you are still married. Regardless, you are still legally married. That we know for a fact.
Right.
So regardless of his situation, regardless of whether he and his wife were actually still together, breaking up, separated, estranged, whatever the fuck, you are still legally married. And according to your own advice, what you are doing is wrong. I agree. So
I agree. But what I'm saying, for individuals that still followers, if you will, right? This is the person that you looked at, because these are the folks that are most affected. I don't give a shit. You, I'm sure, don't really, because you didn't like.
Well, they're second most affected because it's.
Oh yes. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Jackson and the little Jackson.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
Right. That's actually, honestly, no funny business. They definitely, if this is true, of course, are the most affected by that, and his family, anybody that's connected to him. But the folks that are, I guess, maybe the loudest right now are the people that may feel, betrayed, duped, disappointed, whatever you want to put there, because they followed his word, if you will. And I don't know, has he ever said, I'm not like any of these dudes, or is or is it that he's able to talk about these dudes because he is that dude, right? Maybe. I mean, maybe the followership assumes.
Right. Well, I mean, because the way that he talks, it's
like, Steve Harvey came out with it like, I've been married 15 times, and this is how I could tell you that this is
right. Right. And the thing is, people shit on Steve Harvey, but praise this dude. And to be honest, I don't really have a problem with Steve saying what he says. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it all, like, the 90-day rule, like stuff like that. But to me, and I didn't read the book, Steve's book. I did see the movie, but when I saw him doing his interviews, I was triggered by the title of the book, right? But when I heard him talk, it wasn't so much telling women what to do as much as it was, this is how men think and operate. You see what I'm saying? And if you understand how we think and operate, then this is how you could have some success. You know what I mean? That's how I viewed it, but everyone's like, but people take the fact that Steve has been divorced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't.
But Steve has also not acted like he was perfect. He was actually pretty public with, because of who he is, he couldn't be private about getting divorced or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So that was my question about this guy. And of course, I'm leaning on you. I don't know whether you know or not, but is it that he purported himself to be perfect, or he just did not speak on the fact that he's
it's I have never heard dudes say the words like, I am the perfect guy, or be like me. You know what I mean? It's the messaging that basically every time he opens his mouth, it's like men ain't shit, and he will do this thing.
And I'm not gonna say men ain't shit, because my eyes was lighting up because I'm thinking he knows this because this is his behavior. Like I feel like men feel like, oh my, well, I know this has been said about Steve Harvey, like, he's selling men out. And I don't know if that's what's been said about him.
Not so much that he's selling men out, but it's the men ain't shit, and this is what men should be doing. And if they're not doing this, then this is what it means. Kind of like the one, like the titles you just read, 7 signs that this, and it's so absolute. And this is what every man should be doing. And if they're not, he don't love you. Or if he's doing this, he's cheating. That's the shit that I'm talking about. Okay. So it's a twisted context, right? Rooted in facts, right? Because we can't dispute the shit that men have done, right? Cool. We know that. Won't dispute that. But what we do creatively is we'll take the actions of those few and make them the majority, right? And so the women that these things have happened to begin to pull, right? And because that's his followers. It ain't happy women that's following him,
right?
It's the hurt ones that have experienced the things that he's talking about, and there are a lot, but it is not the majority of women who have experienced it. Well, let me not speak for women. It's not the majority of dudes who've done it. I'll say that. You see what I mean? And so now the good dude gets lost in the shuffle. The good dude is getting left behind, and the good dude has it harder because she's constantly looking at what this other dude has done. And you have women who these things have never happened to, but they operate in a way with walls up so that it doesn't happen to them. Like I'm going to act proactively to prevent these things from possibly happening. And when she's doing this with a dude who's never done it, has no intention of doing it, and it's harder for him to get through those walls because of what these other niggas have done. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot, and it's a level of genius to it. I got to be, I'm I'm not mad at the hustle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how dude eats or whatever. I just don't feel in any arena that you have to destroy somebody or shit on somebody to stand on their shoulders to make yourself greater. And that's what a lot of men feels that he does, whether he directly says it, but you know what I'm saying? And so, and I will say this in context, I even though I got no sympathy for dude because of how he conducts his brand and his business, I don't like how old girl that broke it conducts hers either. Like, it was hard for me to watch because it was so messy. You know what I mean? It wasn't I'm just giving information. It's like I am purposely trying to destroy this dude, you know. And anybody, and it wasn't about him. This is what her platform seems to be, because she was like, we telling everybody's business. So if y'all got something like
right, yeah,
you know, it reeks of Wendy Williams to me. And I do not like that woman, because you've become this media personality, or what some would say icon, from shitting on people and destroying people and airing out people's business. But then when it happens to you, you screaming for privacy. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've never done that. And so even this show, this isn't about us gossiping. This is about having open eyes and being careful with who we listen to, and learning to eat the meat and spit out the bones, you see, because we often don't separate brands from people, you know, and we've seen that like with Kirk Franklin. You know, it's because you're a gospel, like if any other artist did that of any other genre, right, nobody would say anything. But because Kirk is a gospel artist, there's a level of expectation, you know, and people perceive someone in their private life as being perfect and inerrant, and Kirk is not, and he's never said that he is. Right. But this is the perception that we create. And if you heard that recording, this ain't Kirk first time cussing. Kirk got a cuss voice. I was telling somebody, like, just to hear him talk, like, nah, you can hear him preach and know he cuss. Kirk just got a cussing voice.
And the internet is unkind, because I've seen all kind of videos. They have set videos to Revolution, like the intro to
for some of y'all that think I've gone too far, you motherfuckers ain't got no idea. I think TC Kill You did it. Oh gosh, my friend TC. You guys about to see the
malfunction. I think I was laughing a little too hard. Is it still there?
It's still
barely.
There. Barely. You better not blink. You better not blink too much.
Like this. I love it. Well, and that actually brings me, you know, to the point, of course, that we want to make sure that we're reaching our viewers and listeners, not just with gossip that you can get scrolling through your timeline, but the dialogue. What is our understanding of the things that we see and we take in on a regular basis, even including this show? You know, we love the fact that you all tune in weekly and go back through the archives and tweet us and
you said
send screenshots and all these kinds of things. But in all seriousness, you know, we have to be very careful about the information that we take in and that we allow to influence us. As I was sitting kind of, you know, dealing with this before we got on, like, what is it that I think about this? Because like I said, about the man, I don't have any kind of tie to him. And I'm not disappointed and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know. But when I thought about it, I was like, I think, you know, I've kind of divorced myself from this kind of disappointment in people and celebrities and all that kind of stuff, because I understand I don't know them. And at the end of the day, I tried to trace it back. And I think it was either, you know, a teenager or young adult. I realized that people are people. You know, something happened, you know, with someone in a prominent leadership position that I respected a great deal. And I think that was the last time that I allowed somebody's words, or just anybody's words, you know, to kind of impact and influence my life like that. I have a very small circle of people that I listen to then apply what they say to my life. The majority of people I listen to, it's entertainment, it's general information. It might be awareness, right? Like, oh, but I try not to get tied into, or let me live my life like this person, or seeing them as goals, like the whole couple goals, relationship goals, people goals, entrepreneur goals, all that kind of stuff, because you only see what people want you to see. And then just, I was trying to pull more information from Barzini, because I'm like, hey, did this guy say he was perfect? Or is this something that the followers have built up in their mind? Now, granted, the information that he puts out and the way that he postures himself, it probably, did not hurt that kind of feeling about him. But at the end of the day, that is a pedestal that people put him on. So you have to protect yourself by not allowing somebody to be so perfect or grand in your life that it doesn't leave room for them to fall or falter, because they're going to, period. Our audience were Gen X, Zennials, and the very, very top of the millennial time frame, or range. That's like 35 to 50, 55. I don't know where Gen X's top number is, but but 35 to 55. We grown. Okay. We are far beyond, and I don't know how old I'm gonna call him David. Derek Jackson is, but some of y'all is too old to be listening to him anyway. I'm like, you should be telling him what to do. Right? Like, we have to be guided by our own inner compass. For those of you who have, a relationship with God or a higher power, like, you need to figure that kind of stuff out for yourself, because people will disappoint you again and again and again and again. And he is no different from any one of us, right? We just happen to not get caught out there like that.
And there is something that he did say. I remember a video a while ago, and there's so many videos I'm not gonna spend the time trying to find all of it, but there was one video that he did talking about dudes that disagree with him, or haters, like, oh, if ladies, it's a lot of dudes out there saying this about me, and if he's saying that, then that just means that he's this. It started, like, you do that fail safe, like, you should listen to me anyway, and if they tell you not to listen to me, he's only telling you that because this. And I liken that to people that post these posts like, oh, if you think this, then that means you're this. Or if you're not doing this, the whole, if you're not thinking this, then you're part of the problem type thing, as if nobody can have their own thoughts about shit. And I always wondered for the women that followed him, just like, I don't want to say blindly, but so faithfully.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's like, why did it not stand to reason? Or why was the thinking that almost I literally do not know one dude that likes this guy.
But they're thinking about their own experience.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is this. Men, there isn't this, men aren't void of support of women. There's so much that we support you in and agree with you on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, But
men are not gonna support another man bashing men. Even if they agree, y'all gonna be like, on the side.
No, but, right. I mean, true. But what I'm saying is this. If you have so many dudes telling you, hey, this is bullshit, right? The thinking is always, you're just saying that because you're one of the guys he's talking about.
Yes.
It's like,
I'm going to be the woman representative until, yes, that is absolutely how and I don't want to say everybody, but that is the majority of thought, because again, we are going on what we have experienced at this point. And it's not even necessarily just the people that you have been romantically linked to. At this point of the game, it could have been your daddy that cheated on your mama. It could have been your granddaddy that cheated on your grandma, your uncle that cheated on your auntie, your close male friends that you have seen do different things to women. So even though you have seen positive role models or have positive relationships with men, you have still seen this side of them.
Right.
Many of them, if not all of them. And
Yeah.
that presents a huge conflict.
Yeah. And so agree 100%. Now, the flip side to that coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not not an invalidation of that. It's an addition to.
Okay.
So that, and we do this on both sides, and this is it goes back to the race to the worst. Because we've experienced something,
Mm-hmm.
we automatically default to the other side doesn't experience this, or we invalidate the other's experience. Like, hey, ladies, men have an experience too, and the things that we're saying is based on our experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we can't only talk about the trauma you experience, we also have to talk about the trauma you cause, right?
Okay.
So, and men too. So it's like we're always talking about the trauma men cause, and we need to. It's valid. It's necessary. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We need to be held accountable for the trauma we cause, but so do women. And as long as we keep refusing to hold women accountable, you see what I'm saying? Because now there's
but in this situation where I'm trying to, yes, to what you're saying, but in this particular situation, if as a woman, I have experienced trauma at the hands of men that I'm related to and men that I'm not related to, men that are platonic friends, men that are more than platonic friends. Okay. And I hear a man say, this is not your imagination, ladies, right? I've been with someone, gaslighting is a popular term right now, right? Like I've been with somebody,
and I hate it too.
I know, that's why I brought it up. That has made me feel, or has set up a situation where I am feeling like I'm crazy. Like, I know what I have experienced, but I'm still questioning myself. And then I scroll one day and there's this man saying, Andrea, and not literally, but you're not crazy. This is happening to you. Here are the 5 signs to let you know that you're not damn crazy, right? And I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not crazy. So with the example that you just gave, where am I to take ownership for somebody? Now, I mean, maybe I was to blame for something that happened in my life, but I'm just trying to figure out overall, if I'm just taking a sum of all the experiences that I've had, which falls in line with what this person is saying, what is what you're talking about? What am I supposed to do in that situation?
So one, it's extremely tough because everything you said is valid, and that's what makes it so tough, right? Like, you can't deny your experiences, and then when you hear things that align with your experiences, it's like, you know what I mean? So I would say the first thing would be and it's hard, is that understand everyone is an individual, right? Now, yes, you have individuals that are capable and sometimes do the same things. Then there's a level of self-reflection and accountability of your mindset, because most of us would agree that we attract what we think of the most. We do that in our personal life. Like, so it's like, and I'm careful. I want to be careful to not to say like I'm blaming someone for that experience. But if this is your experience and this is your thought pattern, and you're living in fear to not experience those things again, chances are you're going to experience them again, because that's where your focus is. And so that's how we attract things, not because we are fucked up sometimes, or maybe fucked up because we haven't healed from that thing yet.
Right.
But we can attract things living to avoid them. Right. And so because the frequency is, if we say, I'm not going to let any man talk crazy to me. Right. Ain't no man going to talk crazy to me. Ain't no man going to talk crazy to me. Ain't no man going to talk crazy to me. Then what are we consciously always looking for? Someone, and we're
crazy to me. That's what our brain.
It's talk crazy. So we can eliminate everything they say because we're tuning into, that was crazy, and then we react to that. You see what I'm saying? And so it feels like this is all I'm experiencing because that's all we're focusing in on. Whereas if we change the narrative, men will speak to me respectfully. Men will show me respect when they speak to me. Now we're focusing in on respect. You know what I mean? And so it's the same narrative of desire, but we've tweaked it. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. And I think that's a starting point to focus, to try to turn the focus on what we do want versus what we avoid, repeating in our life. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're healed or something like that. Like, that's a whole different process. But I think that we also have to simultaneously seek healing.
Yeah.
And who knows how long that's going to take. And we've been having that conversation this week. I even posted about that. Like, and I think that kind of ties in because that's this guy's market are women who have not healed from these experiences that he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a play on trauma. Like, ladies, the things that you have experienced are traumatic. And when someone wakes up that trauma and then tells you, oh, you need a man that's like, my nigga knows how to talk. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is no different. It's kind of like when you see that meme, like when someone says, oh, well, what are you looking for in a man? Like, I'm not telling you that because you just gonna turn around and try to be all those things. Anyway, but that's what he's doing. That's literally what he's doing. I'm gonna laundry list what you've experienced, and then I'm gonna laundry list all of the behaviors that men should be doing so that you don't experience these things. Not things that you need to do, things that he needs to do. Even though he's not the culprit of the things that you've experienced from the men in your past, but this new guy who didn't do those things to you, these are the things he needs to do. And if he's doing, and sometimes things that we might do might look like what the guy that caused the trauma did, but it doesn't mean that it's the same thing.
Now, I will agree with that. I will agree.
And so, but you're on alert because in that relationship, this meant that.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And that's fair, and I get it. And it's hard to decipher, which is why I said you got to treat everybody like an individual. So for this new guy, this doesn't necessarily, now this can mean that with this guy too, but we don't know. And so when we automatically knee-jerk put that on him, and this goes for men too, because like transparently, one of my triggers is, where are you? Right? When someone, you call me and the first thing out your mouth is, where are you? I'm triggered. Right?
Mine is keeping your phone at your hip, even, or face down. Like, and you have the right to do that, but I've experienced so much sneakiness around the phone. I had to literally, at this point I'm cool, but there was a process of working through that because that meant something all these times before, and now it's just, well, my nigga, like I'm playing dominoes and I'm going to the toilet, but I still want to play dominoes. It doesn't mean I don't trust you around my phone. It just means I'm in a serious game with my bro. And you know what? And that might sound crazy, but again, who you're dealing with, it's like, oh, I guess that's not really crazy.
Yeah, you focus on the individual. And somebody said that to me because I always have my phone. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, oh, you know, why are you always checking your phone? And I'm like,
are you hiding something? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I am hiding something. I'm hiding whatever the hell's in my phone, whether it has anything to do with another woman or not, because that's my business.
I mean, I get it. And not that the phone has to be out for me to go through, because I'm well past that in my life. But I'm just saying, like, the feeling around it when you've experienced somebody be guarded around something it doesn't feel like it's necessary. Like, if I'm going to take the trash out, yes, you can grab your phone and put it in your pocket and go take the trash out, but why? Or going to take a shower or whatever, I think that's when you start trying to rationalize in your brain, well, why is he so secretive? I'm not reaching for your phone. I'm not looking for your phone. If your phone is happen to be sitting on the table and I'm there, why does it have to be face down? I'm not looking for anything. Then it makes you feel like, well, should I be looking for something? It's something going on in that phone. Right. And I'm not saying that it's right to do. I'm just letting you know what the feeling can be around that.
To that, I'll say this. The problem is not the phone, right? So in your past,
yes, in my
it's
past.
Like the phone was looked at as the mode for him. I'm assuming it was cheating, right?
Yes, so cheating vehicle.
No, it wasn't the phone. He was the vehicle. And if cell phones never existed, right?
Well, yeah, if cell phones didn't exist, would he still be a cheater? I'm sure he would have. But
So cheating did not begin with the advent of the cell phone. Let's be clear.
No, of course not.
I'm not saying that you're saying that.
Okay.
I'm making an illustration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is going to cheat, regardless of their reason or their decision or whatever the fuck is cheating, it doesn't matter whether it was a cell phone or not. Before it was the regular telephone, it could have been letters. It could have, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, you could take a nigga's cell phone right now and he could meet somebody while he's out and jib jab jab, and
Yeah, and I wasn't saying, nor do I think anyone.
Yeah, I'm not saying
that it's the cell phone that causes it. I'm just saying,
right?
That
that's the trigger. That's the trigger,
right?
Exactly. No,
because that is how you found out about it, right? Like that.
Right.
That's the reason I started paying attention in the first place, or that's the way it became apparent to me in the first place. So now I'm in a new situation where everything seems all good. Oh my goodness, this guy is doing the same thing. Is this something all guys do?
Right.
Or does this mean that he's doing this because?
But that's the point that I was making is when I say it's not the phone, I'm saying that's what you tell yourself in the new relationship about the old guy. So let's say you was with Terrence, right? And now you're with Rick. The Terrence, he was using the phone to do what he did, right? Now Rick is doing some of the same things with the phone, as far as setting it down, or it's always with him. And it's making you think about Terrence, but Terrence wasn't cheating because of the phone, right? He was using the phone. You see, does that make sense? And so now you see Rick doing the same thing. It's like, no, that's just what people, it's not the thought process is not, this is what people do with their phones. They set them down.
Right.
And
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
This
is what cheating people do with their
I'm seeing this same action that somebody who was cheating did, and I'm equating that with this is what cheating looks like, and now this other person is. So that's why the central narrative I was saying it's not the phone. You know what I mean?
Yes. Got it.
And so when we can disconnect from those behaviors or those actions, you see what I mean? It's like, so, and that's why I'm saying for me, it's a trigger. I have to work through. Someone asking me where I am is not always insecurity or trying to control me, right? But I hate it because that's what it's always been. Basically, where are you? Are you with that bitch or some bitch? Or you see what I'm saying? Like, are you serious? This is how extreme it was, right? You knew how much I struggled. So I was in a place where my phone was off, my cell phone was turned off, my internet was turned off. I didn't have a car. So I had zero mode to contact the outside world. Right. I couldn't email, I couldn't go on social media, I couldn't call, I could, I literally stole my manager's internet because, default someone's internet password is a phone number. So I guessed. I was like, and I plugged that in. I can see his internet plugged in. So I would go stand at the front of the complex just to connect to his internet to make Wi-Fi calls. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, gotta do what you gotta do.
I was just to like make any necessary calls. And so my sis, she called me and she was like, well, I was talking to her. She was like, hey, I'm coming to get you, like just being stuck. So she called the family. She called like all the brothers and sisters and stuff like that, like all my god brothers and sisters. And we met up, in Long Beach, and we went out for
family.
Like they surrounded me. They like, Jay needs, but that's what we do, right? And so it was a great night. And she lived in This is when I was in Hawthorne, and she lived in Long Beach.
Okay.
And so we went to Mai Tai when it was still open, Mai Tai bar, right? That was a spot. Right? So we went to Mai Tai, turned up, had a great night. She had a few too many. She didn't live far from there, so she was like, "Listen, I can't drive you all the way back to Hawthorne to drive back to Long Beach."
Child, even if she was sober, I'd have been like, you got to crash here because I just ain't going back over there tonight.
Right. So she was like, just crash, you're going to have to crash in my spot. I was like, bet, not a problem. So,
and you probably were happy to be in a new atmosphere anyway.
Yeah, I'm just, so I'm using her computer, and I log into my Facebook, and so I'm getting a message like, "Oh, hey, what do you went out last night? Da 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 with sis, whatever, whatever, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Oh, well, call me right quick."
Like,
I'm like, I can't. My phone's dead. I'm not at home. My phone's not charged. So I can't call you. I'm like, but what's up?
We're talking right now.
We're talking right now. And they didn't have the video chat or the messenger yet. So you could just. I'm like, we're talking right now though. Well, just call me right quick. I can't. I just told you my phone's dead. Oh, well, go ask her if you can use her phone real quick. Really? I'm like, she's upstairs sleep right now. I'm not going upstairs to wake her up. Oh, well, just okay. Well, wherever you are in, just that. I hope that bitch is blah 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 that shit. And I'm like, oh, for real?
Wow.
And it just so happened at that moment, my sister woke up and came downstairs, and so I was like, let me see your phone, and I called, and of course she didn't answer. And I'm like, now that you know where I'm at, what I'm saying? Like, since you know every damn thing, and it's like, like that level of insecurity. So for me, and going through 3.5 years of that, which is, 2.5 years too long. And that's not to say I didn't have the level of shit that I did.
Right.
But it's like, dude, like, come on. And so I have to get to a level like when I know you and I know your intent and I trust your intentions, where are you doesn't bother me.
Right.
Because I know you're just asking me like as a general question of, like, hey, this is what a relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the women that follow Derek Jackson, I get that we're operating off of past experience, triggers, lens, but we still need to wake up to, and I'm not just talking to ladies. We're just talking because we're talking about Derek Jackson,
right?
That at some point we have to understand that we are not operating off of absolutes,
right?
Majorities and at some point we have to treat those experiences as what they were, experiences from individuals, you know what I mean? And I understand that we see very common behaviors of men, and the reason why you see common behaviors of men is because we are all men, but it does not mean that we're doing the same thing, or it could mean that those things that you're seeing doesn't mean what you think they do, and dating has become, or maybe it's always been, I don't know, but we just live in this realm of when you're in a relationship, these are the things that you have to do in order to validate or qualify it being a relationship. I.e., they brought up how Derek never posts his wife, and then they want to speculate on why that is. And so he says, oh, well, I want to protect them. As much as the bullshit that he spews, that part I actually believe, because that is something that I would do. When you got 2 million people following you, right? You're the one that's in the spotlight. I wouldn't want them in the spotlight if that's not what they want. Now, we don't know if she's at home saying, why don't you ever post me?
Right.
We don't know that.
Which is what the alleged mistress is kind of bringing to the forefront at this point. And we haven't really talked about her or her role in this. So,
maybe we can do some
She not going to get away scot-free with me. I don't care if I got to bring it up during my final thought, but
we can do that actually. So, now she ain't getting off scot-free, but there's not templates to this thing. We can't enter in relationships saying, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And if you're in a relationship, then you have to post them. And if you don't post them, then this is what it means. I know hella women that don't post their dudes. Like, how many women go on vacation and you see 2 plates, but not 2 people? Y'all notorious for that shit. I've been out.
My eyelashes.
Listen, I've been out. I've been out on a whole date one time, and she like the food looked great. And she's taking a picture of the phone. She's like, "Oh, I'm not putting." Like she told me, she's like, "Oh, you're not going to be in the picture."
Back.
I was like, first of all, I'm sitting here paying $200 for dinner because my ass went like that. I was like, what? Like,
I know that's right. Oh, that sounds like hashtag.
Yeah, nah.
Not for real. Nah. I mean, that rationale, but he was absolutely like, you ain't got to put me in no picture. But
I was cool with it because we wasn't.
I'm gonna put my hand in it though, so they know.
Right. But women do that all the time, and it's like, because I don't want these bitches hating and because they be out here trying to blah blah. So it's like y'all got all the justifications in the world for why y'all don't post dude, but if we don't post her, it's because we trying to like really.
Yes. Again, that is yes. Like that is the rationale. It is. Yeah, it's not fair, but it is. It is like, well, I'm. Yes, you could be, but if that is not her consistent experience, then that's not the first thing she thinks
get it,
about.
but me personally, right? Because I've been told this. You've known me longer than the average person in my life, right? In 20 years.
Yep.
Would you say that I'm a private person with my personal business?
Yes.
So I am.
And I think people would mistake that because you're a public figure.
Right. Because I'm vocal. The thing is, you see what I want you to see. I give you what I want you. I allow.
So people, I think the conclusion they would draw, like, well, he's always on the internet, and he's always this, and he's always blah blah. And so, if you were not to speak about a relationship or be in one, I think that would be the conclusion that people would draw wrongfully, because they see you, but they're not really clear that the you that they're seeing is not the totality of who you are.
The crazy part is women that I date will even tell you that they have a far different experience than the things I debate about.
Oh, yeah.
I push thought. That's it. Like people think like, oh, you always going to be single. You don't know how to treat a woman. You don't know. I'm like, the way that I operate is far different than what you think because you don't actually know me. You know what I talk about because I push narratives. And my friend was talking about this because she's always telling me I need to talk to people different. And I was like, no, I don't. Or she said that she was like, do you always have to be, she said, do I always have to be negative or debate? So I was like, I'm not debating anybody. I was like, I have a different perspective than other people. And for some reason, it's a problem if I express it. Like who wants to have conversations where everyone just agrees? And people do that on social media. It's like if someone posts something and you disagree, they're like, oh, well, you could have just kept scrolling. Why? Like, why do we always have to agree? And why can't we disagree and that be okay? I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm telling you I have a different view. And when I push a narrative, I told her because the average person believes something and operates in such a fashion that they have no idea because they never ask the question why and can very rarely trace the genesis of the action or thought process. Like if I asked you, why do you think this? Or why do you do this thing, this routine that you do? The average person, I just do. I just think that way. And you can, and the average person cannot substantiate their beliefs or their claims because it's usually something that they were taught and it was passed down. And I always challenge narratives. I ask the question why to myself. So if you ask me something, why do I do a particular thing? Why do I think in a particular way? I'm almost always going to be able to tell you why. Because this, and I substantiate and people can't stand it. And that's how I get, oh, well, you think you know everything. No, I just know why I believe what I believe. I know a whole lot about a little bit, and I know a little bit about a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And why is that a bad thing? Because I have thoughts.
It's not a bad thing. It's just, I think it puts a glaring light on the individual, right? Like, oh, because I'm not able to do this, that is an insecurity that may make them feel a certain kind of way about themselves. It can be uncomfortable to realize like, oh my gosh, I have a firm and fervent belief in something that I can't even explain, you know, so that has to be, you know, embarrassing. It has to be a bunch of things that doesn't necessarily have anything to do, you know, with.
And I don't just go around poking holes in it. It's usually these conversations with me typically end up happening is when you challenge me on my perspective. And so I'm going to take yours and poke holes in it. And I'm never going to really introduce any new information. I'm just going to ask you questions about your own because that's usually effective. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to challenge people, like, think about something that you believe fervently and wholeheartedly and ask yourself why. You know what I mean? And so even for, you know, if we were bringing it back full circle to the people that follow Derek Jackson, ask yourself why, because now you have more of a reason to, you know, whether what happened actually happened because it's alleged or his why or his, like, he's got his own reasons of why, he's got his own life. And and he's allowed to have that. It's what he has tried to represent that is problematic because it does not leave room for error. When you position yourself as an authority or as a voice, it does not lend itself to error because the public is not going to accept it. You know, they're not going to say, oh, nobody's perfect. Not after you've led me to these actions. And, you know, this woman could have been in a happy relationship with somebody, but he didn't follow one of the fucking 5 signs that, you know what I'm saying? Because people believe you, like, people want love. And you can't convince me that there's a person on this earth that does not want love. And someone that says, well, oh, I don't want love is because you've probably had a bad experience with love, but you would rather have a good experience with it. Like, you stray away from it because you haven't had good experiences. That doesn't mean you don't want a good experience. That means it's not that you don't want love. You're afraid of another bad experience with love. You know what I mean? And so you've got 2 million people over here and another million over here, or however many. And these people are looking to you for direction. Some is just entertainment. Some is like, hey, I'm really looking for direction. I'm really looking for something substantial because I want something better in my life. And now it's like, look at the hope that you have drained 2 million people of. Like, you represented hope for so many women. Like, there is a guy like you that exists. Like, I want a guy that looks like this and says these words and has this thought process and is going to pedestal me like you're saying while sitting in your car. Like, you never even seen this dude's house. You know, it's always, I'm sitting in the car or whatever. And not to say that you have to do that. But things that you do lend itself to people believing certain things. And you gotta know that a lot of it is you do that purposely. It's calculated. You're not going to tell me that dude is not calculated in what he says and does, except for,
well, I sure won't tell you now. I mean, right. I won't tell you that now.
So
wow.
But yeah, so there's so much more. But to put a bow on it, what are your final thoughts? She's like, where do I start?
I know. You know, again, I think it is necessary for us to get to know ourselves on such a level that we trust our own leading. You know, if things don't look right, don't feel right, don't sound right, then roll with that, you know. And that's how I felt about the mistress who, you know, oh, I thought he was separated, but maybe he's not, or whatever. But also as a listener who may be having, you know, relationship issues, and you're trying to figure it out by listening to these gurus or what have you, even coming here to this platform, get to know yourself and what it is that you want, what you're willing to do, so that the information that you take in can either be confirmation, like, okay, I already figured that out about myself. It can present a conflict, which Barzini does for us all the time. Like, maybe there's another way to think about this. But either way, you know, you are responsible for the decision that you make with the information that you get. Yes, it's human nature to turn around and go, well, I can't believe he said that and he's a fraud. But at the end of the day, it is your life. And if you are applying some of these principles, I think what we've heard here today really begs for us to stop and consider the fact that, it's not absolute. It's not always what it appears. And to ask questions, have conversations, and really at the end of the day, get to know the person that you're with for the person that they are. And I think that is kind of the theme that comes up over and over again by the end of some of the discussions that we have on these episodes. It's like, man, I thought I knew. Sometimes we're in such a desperate place. And I say we because I have been there. You're in such a desperate place to get an answer. Like, why is this not working for me? And sometimes it is us, right? We don't want to hear that part, but I'm always, I'm here to kind of present the other side, which is sometimes you really are doing your very best and you still wind up, kind of in some shitty situations with people who don't mean you any good. But at the end of the day, when you are presented with another opportunity or another person, even if every single thing in the past has been negative, I really am a witness that the next thing doesn't automatically mean that it's negative too. And if you are willing to step out there and risk it, then you also have to do your due diligence to make sure that this person really is or is not for you. By painting everybody with the same, brush or what have you, you really can be missing out on the biggest blessing in your life, which also can help you to heal and turn some things around in your own mindset and in your heart. So again, my sympathies to the misses of this situation or anybody that's experienced cheating. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. There's like really no other way I can put it. I know we've had some deep conversations about, why people cheat and whether or not we think that there's a reason to, but at the end of the day, nobody, man or woman, wants to be in a position where you think that things are good and then you look up and, your home has been kind of obliterated. So chin up, Buttercup.
Really with the
I'm trying to bring some ha-has because
you ain't
I remember the time, child. So
I get it. What comes to mind to me is closure is bullshit.
Yes, come on with it.
Closure is bullshit, and I think I venture to say, and this is speculation or an assumption, the majority of people that follow him are looking for closure for or trying to make sense of the experiences that they've had.
Agree.
And when you can come to the realization that there's not always somebody that needs to be blamed for the experience that you had, right? Whether it was him or what was wrong with me, sometimes it's neither, right? Sometimes it just is, you know what I mean? It happened, you know what I mean? And you'll never forget it, but you have to get to a point to let it go, right?
Yeah.
And you are not always, and letting it go does not always look like closure. It looks like acceptance, like I've had people telling me like, oh, you owe your ex a conversation. No, the fuck I don't. We are not together. I don't owe you shit. And least of all, closure.
Oh, well, tell us how you really feel.
No, and I'm dead serious because like when you think about it, for me to have to give her closure means I have to revisit all the trauma that I experienced as well. And I don't want to do that. And guess what? I have a choice not to. Yeah. I have to find a way to deal with that and heal from it in my own way. And you're responsible for your own. And it does not come from me because you're not going to get it from me. You see what I'm saying? And
even if you offered it to her, doesn't even mean that
it doesn't mean that you're going. Well, we had a whole lot of conversation and conversations. Those kind of conversations, like me, probably you more fucked up than coming in. So
yes.
Like, and I'm just being real because I'm gonna give you how I feel. Like, I'm not gonna sit and listen to everything that you experience from me and you not get to hear it. You see what I'm saying? Because no, we're gonna do this two sides. If you want me to hear, then you also gonna have to do the same. You see what I'm saying? If we talking samesies, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, make the decision to begin the healing process. You don't get to decide when you heal, because healing looks different for everybody. But you are definitely in control of beginning the process and the search for it. And if that search begins with you trying to seek closure out rather than acceptance, that road is going to be long. And looking to someone else for it, or looking for validation in someone else, like this man, it sets up disappointment. And this is what we're experiencing now, that there's so many people that are disappointed to find out he's human. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
like, I hate to say, like, I've been, you can search my post when I said I can't stand this dude with an unhealthy hate for the things that he says. And I'd be lying if I say I didn't feel vindicated that this happened. You know, I'm not happy for any party involved, but the fact is I've been saying this shit. And a lot of dudes have been saying this shit. And now it's like, you know, I hate to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so.
I told you so.
You know what I mean? And so it's unfortunate, like it's bittersweet. It's unfortunate that I was right.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so I'm hoping that those people that are feeling disappointment, that you seek a level of healing from that, a level of understanding, and that just understand that it can only come from you. You know,
that's good.
Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. So y'all, on that note, shit, I almost want to release this episode early, but y'all gonna have to wait till Thursday.
Got to wait.
Yeah, we'll give y'all some teasers and everything. But as always, this has been another episode of The Crossroads. We love y'all. We thank y'all for rocking with us. Thank you to House of 334. Make sure that y'all go to houseof334.com for all your branding and copyright needs. Shout out to Carbon 12 Clothing. Y'all make sure that y'all visit that website as well and get the new Black Madonna.
Hey. And they are Carbon 12 without the
vowels. Just take out the vowels.
CRBN TWVLV
LV. I'm gonna put it on the
.com. All right. I just want to make sure they get that shine too. Even if we gotta go slow, we gonna read it on there.
We gonna read it on there. So y'all go get the old releases and get the new releases. They haven't been in business.
No, they gonna think I didn't go to USC. TWLV.
She had to think about it. You listen, fight on.
Somebody gonna be like, wait, hold on. Did she? Also, I've been drinking. I'll blame that on the cup before I blame that on my education, because I know I can spell.
She got that expensive ass education too. I just watched that documentary before the episode on Netflix, the Varsity Blues scandal.
Oh, yeah, I want to watch that. Is it good? Oh, well, yeah, I know we were. Yes, I know.
Yeah, it was cool, but SC wasn't really looking good in that.
Yeah, of course. You know, you got to come for the king. So we're used to it.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. It's like Derek Jackson. It's always coming for us, you know.
He's not the king.
But look what happened.
Is this your king? Yeah, no. Yeah. All right, y'all. This has been The Crossroads. And as always, remember, be free to be you.
We love you guys.
Holla at y'all.
Adios.
We want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for our email list for more episodes and projects from your hosts, Barzini and Dre Renee. Until next time, this has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.